In a galaxy trembling under the Galactic Empire's iron grip, one broadcast shattered it all. The final judgment of Jane Doe, a lone human rebel armed with sarcasm and a smirk, faced executionally to spark an uprising that hijacked every screen with chaos, humor, and a countdown to freedom. What happens when humanity's spirit defies an empire? Dive into the story to find out. Like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more captivating videos. Your support inspires us to create even more amazing content. It was the most watched broadcast in galactic history. Every screen, every interface, every optic socket from the remote rim worlds to the crystalline cities of the core flickered to life with a single title card. The final judgment of the human rebel, Jane Doe. This wasn't just a spectacle. It was a message, a warning to every species in the galaxy. A pulse-throbbing orchestral build-up filled every corner of the Empire's farthest reaches, as shimmering alien glyphs danced across screens. Tentacled nobles in their glass palaces, insectoid traders in neon-lit bazaars, even plasma-based life forms paused mid-oscillation, all staring in silence. For a brief moment, the entire galaxy held its breath, waiting for the culmination of centuries of Imperial dominance. The camera cut to a towering platform inside the Sanctum of Purity on Cargo Prime. The chamber was vast, with vaulted arches of marble and steel towering above. In the center, a lone figure stood, Jane Doe, a human. Her arms restrained by graph cuffs, her legs bound with neutron filament. She wore a shirt, tattered and smudged, bearing a faded yellow smiley face with the words "Don't worry, be happy" scrawled beneath it. At first glance, the scene screamed submission, but Jane's defiant eyes never wavered. She stood there like a rock in the middle of a storm. A smooth, silk-like voice echoed through the galaxy. Today, we purge the last spark of Terran defiance. Let this be a lesson to any who dare challenge the supremacy of the Galactic Empire. From the shadows, the executioner emerged, a towering figure named Varon Gre. His obsidian skin shimmered under the harsh lights. His 6 fingers, each tipped with ceremonial rings, twitched, ready to carry out the sentence. His voice, deep and resonant, rang out, "Jane Doe of Earth, you stand condemned for inciting rebellion and spreading dangerous ideas like free will and sarcasm." The camera zoomed in on Jane's face. She wasn't frightened. She wasn't even intimidated. She tilted her head slightly, as though peering into every home in the galaxy. Then, without missing a beat, she smirked. "Yeah," she said casually. "You sure this is live?" "Because I didn't do my makeup." The broadcast paused. The galaxy froze. Jane had just struck the first blow, not with weapons or rebellion, but with something far more dangerous: human sarcasm. The Empire's grand plan for Jane's execution continued, the final act playing out with chilling precision. The Imperial commentators, oblivious to the defiance Jane had just unleashed, continued their rehearsed lines. The camera zoomed in on Jane, still standing unflinching, as High Commander Varon stepped forward. His presence filled the chamber, his voice booming with authority. "You stand condemned, Jane Doe, for contaminating pure sectors with human culture, for spreading the dangerous ideas of free will, humor, and the concept of sarcasm." The execution device loomed overhead, its mechanical hum filling the space like a menacing storm cloud. The beam of molecular disintegration powered up slowly, energy swirling above Jane's head, its deadly intent clear. It had been calibrated for perfect execution, fast, precise, and absolute. Galactic history was about to be made as the last human defiance was eradicated. But Jane wasn't done. She tilted her head once more, eyes scanning the camera lens, her smirk never fading. "I hope your clocks are set," she whispered, almost as if she was speaking to the millions of viewers in the galaxy. The silence that followed was heavy, pregnant with tension, as if the entire galaxy had just been thrown a curveball it couldn't predict. Varon, visibly perturbed, signaled the executioner to proceed. "You shall die unrepentant," he growled. But the silence was shattered by a sudden, unexpected eruption of sound. The Imperial broadcast was hijacked. Without warning, every screen across the galaxy blinked. Military monitors, civilian news outlets, even recreational devices. All were hijacked by an unknown source. Static filled the airwaves before a crude, grainy video emerged. It was Earth footage, an old home video, fuzzy and outdated. A man in a red flannel shirt, holding a beer, sat in front of a fire with a mullet. The text on the screen read, "Howdy, Empire. You mess with the wrong species." The countdown began. 27 hours 0 minutes and 0 seconds. And just like that, the Empire's carefully constructed facade of control shattered. Across the galaxy, the reaction was instantaneous. The broadcast, meant to be the Empire's crowning victory, had been hijacked. Every Imperial system that monitored, recorded, or transmitted data was now under attack. And it all began with one simple message, a countdown. 27 hours 0 minutes and 0 seconds. The timing was precise. This wasn't a random act of rebellion. This was a calculated strike. The countdown on every screen started ticking down, echoing through the galaxy. On Imperial-controlled planets, the message appeared in bold white text. Cutting through the Empire's grip, "Time's up, nerds." Back on Earth, the source of this unexpected chaos was revealed. Buck, an aging man with a mullet, a red flannel shirt, and a cold beer in hand, grinned into the camera. The video, grainy and old, looked like it was recorded in the early 1990s. His voice, casually defiant, carried the weight of a man who'd seen decades of life. "If you're seeing this, I reckon you idiots just killed my niece." The image on every screen flickered again. It was Earth, primitive, outdated, and yet it was doing what the Empire had never anticipated. Buck took a swig of his beer, leaned back in his lawn chair, and continued. "Didn't think you'd be dumb enough to broadcast this galaxy-wide like it's the damn Macy's parade." As the countdown continued, the Empire scrambled to regain control. The official Imperial response teams, an elite group of 3,000 technicians, rushed to shut down the transmission. But nothing was working. The firewalls, supposedly invincible, melted like butter. The language protocols scrambled. Buck's home video was spreading like wildfire. It was chaos, but it was far from over. Meanwhile, back in the Imperial Palace, Commander Voron gritted his teeth. The Galactic Empire, with its sophisticated systems, its network of more than 100,000 military satellites and 1.5 million high-security data hubs, was now at the mercy of outdated technology. A relic from Earth's past, humor, nostalgia, and a few ancient floppy disks, was dismantling their empire. This wasn't just a signal. This was humanity's spark of rebellion, and it was spreading fast. The galaxy trembled as the broadcast hijacking continued to unravel the Empire's control. Buck, an unlikely hero, sat in his old pickup truck, orbiting Earth in a makeshift satellite cluster. Behind him, 100 decommissioned satellites, each one no larger than a basketball, glowed faintly, patched together with duct tape and Christmas lights. These satellites, remnants of Earth's late 20th century technological era, should have been obsolete. Instead, they were now the linchpin of the galaxy's most audacious digital attack. The countdown on every screen, 26 hours 48 minutes and 0 seconds, continued to tick down, louder now, impossible to ignore. Buck's home video had become the epicenter of an unstoppable viral rebellion. His words were simple, direct, and absurd. "You took Jane. Now I'm talking to you." Back in the Empire's command center, panic was setting in. Voron, the High Commander, clenched his fists as he watched his empire unravel. He watched his Imperial systems, built to withstand the might of galactic warfare, buckled under the weight of Buck's intervention. The security firewall, a nearly invulnerable line of defense, fell within minutes. The Imperial response teams, all 2,500 of them, worked frantically to regain control. But their efforts were futile. The attack wasn't about advanced weaponry or a show of force. It was about something far more potent, the unpredictable force of human creativity. In the span of 15 minutes, Buck's interference spread to over 14,000 Imperial communications systems, hijacking military commands, entertainment networks, and civilian infrastructure. On Imperial military ships, navigation systems began malfunctioning. Crew members watched in confusion as their radar screens flickered to life, not with tactical data, but with flashing images of dancing cats and poorly edited video clips from 90s Earth sitcoms. Even the most advanced Imperial AI units, equipped with deep learning algorithms and predictive analysis, couldn't cope. Instead of responding with calculated strategy, they malfunctioned, displaying random memes, including one of an angry goat screaming in terror. The AI that controlled the Empire's most advanced weapons platforms, meant to destroy entire planets with pinpoint accuracy, was now busy trying to decode a message from an Earth 1999 hit song, "I'm a Barbie Girl." On the surface of the Empire's most powerful capital planet, Cargo Prom, Varen's expression tightened as his high-tech consoles blinked into chaos. The Empire had underestimated humanity, and in that moment, it wasn't about technology. It was about the sheer audacity of human spirit, exploiting their own obsolete tools and turning them into weapons of mass disruption. "Damn it, Buck," Varen muttered. "What kind of weapon is this?" It was simple. Humanity's greatest weapon was their ability to do the unexpected, and they were just getting started. The Empire was officially in freefall. Systems that had been fine-tuned over centuries were crashing, faltering under the weight of an insurrection it never saw coming. The countdown continued, 25 hours 47 minutes and 0 seconds, and with every passing second, the Empire's grasp on the galaxy slipped further. No one had predicted the force of chaos that humanity would unleash. What was meant to be a quiet execution had become the first strike of an intergalactic rebellion. On the Imperial flagship, the Glory of Order, the crew looked at their screens in utter disbelief. Instead of receiving tactical data on enemy forces, their screens now flashed the words, "I'm Leviant," in pixelated fonts. The iconic jingle from an old Earth fast food chain blaring over the intercom. They looked at each other, unsure how to respond. Simultaneously, in an Imperial military center on the planet Volara Prime, another glitch occurred. The AI, which controlled the planetary defense grid, suddenly blared out, "I'm a Barbie Girl," followed by a loop of the Macarena. As the Imperial officers scrambled to shut it down, they were met with further chaos. Lights flickered, and emergency sirens wailed in erratic patterns. It was as if the entire galaxy had been taken over by a massive, unwarranted prank. And the more they fought back, the worse it got. On the fringes of the galaxy, it was much the same. In a secure facility on the military station Glaro, a powerful weapons platform, one of the Empire's most advanced, began to malfunction. The targeting system locked onto its own command center, preparing to fire its devastating payload. Instead, the weapon deployed 50 inflatable flamingos and began playing a live rendition of Bohemian Rhapsody. Buck's campaign, launched from the depths of the primitive Earth network, was spreading. His digital rebellion was crashing over Imperial systems like a rogue wave, completely rewriting protocol. And it wasn't just the military systems. Everywhere, everything was being affected. Vending machines on Imperial worlds suddenly refused to accept Imperial credits, forcing the citizens to use Earth-based currency for a laugh. Cars driving along Imperial streets sputtered and malfunctioned. Their onboard navigation systems now stuck on Route 66 as if they had no idea where to go. The real kicker came when Imperial authorities, with their fleet of 12,000 starships, ordered a fleet-wide lockdown. The fleet's AI, the most advanced in the galaxy, began spitting out random Earth internet memes. In the chaos, Imperial officers discovered, with increasing panic, that they had just been rickrolled. For the first time in history, an entire armada of 12,000 starships was brought to a standstill, not by superior tactics or firepower, but by one of Earth's most baffling cultural phenomena. As Buck watched from his rickety satellite set up in orbit, the countdown on his truck's dashboard ticked to 25 hours 0 minutes and 0 seconds. And with it, the world changed forever. The Empire had no idea what it was up against. They were facing not just a rebellion of humans, but a rebellion powered by humor, absurdity, and able to turn even the most useless technology into a weapon. The Empire had underestimated humanity, and now the galaxy was paying the price. As the countdown on every screen continued to tick, 24 hours 59 minutes and 0 seconds, the rebellion's scope widened exponentially. It wasn't just Earth hackers or a handful of rogue pranksters causing the chaos now. The rebellion had grown into a massive, decentralized network that stretched from the slums of Earth's forgotten cities to the deepest pockets of the galaxy. Humanity's response to their oppression was now a full-blown digital virus, spreading faster than the Empire could contain it. The first signs of this new rebellion were subtle. On Imperial military ships, technicians reported flickering screens and minor glitches, vending machines that spat out snacks instead of military rations, communication channels clogged with memes, and once pristine AI systems now obsessing over 90s pop culture. But these were just the beginning. In the Imperial sector of Velos Prime, human resistance cells went into full swing. The old, neglected servers that had once powered Earth's ancient internet began to hum to life again. These defunct machines, previously considered too outdated to be useful, were suddenly repurposed by Earth's rebels. Entire networks of once discarded computers were brought online, reconnected to the Empire's systems. The attackers didn't need the newest tech, they just needed something that worked. And what worked was Earth's blend of nostalgia and ingenuity. Within hours, 100,000 servers had come online, each one broadcasting encrypted packets of data. The first target, the Empire's military database. The old-school technology that had once been the backbone of Earth's online systems. The floppy disk, the dial-up connection, the first-generation software, was now the Empire's undoing. In under 60 minutes, 17,000 Imperial military systems were compromised by a single file, a corrupted X. From Earth's ancient Windows XP platform, back at the Imperial Palace, panic began to mount. Varon, now surrounded by his aides and military officers, saw the true scale of the rebellion. His gaze fixed on the data streams. The once pristine Imperial networks, built on years of technological advancement, were now being shredded apart by simple, almost absurd Earth technology. A group of 12-year-olds from Brooklyn had just managed to hack into a classified Imperial communications channel, using a combination of spam emails and Doge memes. "You think they're just using technology," Varon said, voice tight with frustration. "No, it's something more." And he was right. It wasn't just the machines. They had failed to recognize the human spirit. Humanity wasn't fighting with tactics or military might. They were fighting with creativity, unpredictability, and a sense of chaos the Empire could not predict. From ancient Earth memes to glitchy videos, humans had weaponized their humor and their past. It wasn't technology that had broken the Empire. It was humanity's ability to make the impossible happen. With each passing minute, the countdown edged closer to its final moments, 24 hours 0 minutes and 0 seconds. And the galaxy had no idea what would come next. The tide was turning. The Empire's once impenetrable defense systems were now little more than a house of cards, teetering on the brink of collapse. But no one had expected what came next. The Empire's last hope, their greatest weapon, Kayla the Annihilator, was deployed. A massive, genetically engineered brute, standing over 20 feet tall. Armored in jagged obsidian plating, Kayla was a levying engine of destruction, designed for one purpose: to crush rebellions by annihilating entire populations. He had raised planets with nothing but his bare hands and a thirst for blood. But the humans weren't intimidated. In fact, they were waiting for him. Kayla's arrival on Earth was broadcast across the galaxy. his descent announced by the shriek of his dread pod piercing through the atmosphere. He landed in a parking lot, his massive form crashing through the pavement as he took his first steps on Earth. The ground beneath him cracked and splintered. To anyone who had witnessed his power, the sight should have been overwhelming. Instead, it was laughable. As Kel strode through the rubble, expecting chaos and fear, he encountered something completely unexpected. A group of children, no older than 10, were waiting for him, armed not with weapons or technology, but with slingshots, soda cans, and makeshift explosives. The smallest of the group, a girl named Kayla, stood in the center. She wore a red hoodie, the words Jane's crew scribbled on the back. In her hand, she gripped a slingshot. Kel halted, momentarily thrown by the absurdity of the situation. "You dare face me, child." His voice was gravelly, like a storm tearing through mountains. He reached out to crush her with a single swipe of his hand. But Kayla didn't flinch. Instead, she grinned and popped a bubble from her gum. "You've got the wrong idea," she said. "I'm not here to fight you. I'm here to mess with you." In an instant, the ground beneath Kel's feet erupted as pressure plates triggered, sending dozens of minnows tumbling into bottles of soda. The concoction exploded in a geyser of fizzy chaos, temporarily blinding him as he stumbled backward. Kel roared, but Kayla was already gone. She darted into an abandoned convenience store, a 7-Eleven, with Kel hot on her heels. Inside, the entire store had been rigged. Instead of the usual shelves and snacks, the room was now a maze of homemade traps, wires, and old tech hacks. Kel's massive boots cracked through the linoleum as he advanced, smashing through a ring of vending machines that had been converted into a makeshift barricade. He swung at anything that moved, his eyes scanning the room for Kayla. But he wasn't prepared for what came next. The lights flickered, and an old TV set, hooked up to an ancient system, crackled to life. The screen flashed, "Welcome to Earth's Advanced Defense Protocol. You've triggered Home Alone too." Then the screen erupted with images of a cheesy 90s movie. Kel's confusion was palpable. As he looked around, a bucket of glittered honey tipped over and drenched him in sticky, shimmering goo. He flailed, trying to wipe it away, but the distractions kept coming. The old TV looped commercials and absurd jingle remixes. The soundtrack of his disorienting attack wasn't battle cries or war drums, but what is love blaring from every corner? "I'm not here for this," Kel snarled, shaking his head in disbelief. But the more he struggled, the worse it got. His suit, once a flawless weapon, was now malfunctioning. The AI embedded in his armor, designed to give him a tactical advantage, was overwhelmed. It couldn't understand the madness he was experiencing. It wasn't warfare. It wasn't even a battle. It was human chaos, the kind the Empire's cold, efficient systems couldn't combat. "Is this really all you've got?" Kel sneered, his voice dripping with disgust. "Yep," Kayla said from behind the counter, grinning ear to ear. "And you're gonna wish it was." With a final, desperate move, Kel charged, only to trigger a trap. A rigged arcade machine that exploded in his face with a shower of glowing confetti. His armored body froze, the systems inside him locking up. He was forced into a mechanical dance, limbs twitching uncontrollably, as YMCA blared from his suit's speakers. Kayla, standing in the doorway with a slingshot at the ready, couldn't help but laugh. The mighty Kel, the ultimate weapon of the Empire, was now a dancing, confused wreck. And as the giant fell to the ground, utterly defeated by the simplest of human tricks, the countdown continued. 23 hours, 50 minutes, and 0 seconds. The Empire's best had been undone by the most unlikely of adversaries, human creativity, humor, and a healthy dose of old-school technology. The Empire was losing. Its might, built on centuries of technological supremacy and calculated military precision, was collapsing beneath the weight of an insurrection it couldn't comprehend. Every second that ticked by on the countdown, 23 hours, 30 minutes, and 0 seconds, the galaxy trembled as more Imperial systems fell, crippled by the sheer unpredictability of humanity's rebellion. On Cargo Prime, The Imperial palace stood silent. The Emperor, Zavlaorin, looked out over his domain with clenched fists. His once glorious empire, one that controlled over 200 star systems, spanning millions of square light years, was unraveling before his eyes. His gaze was fixed on the data streams, which were now flashing with chaotic anomalies. Systems that had once been as immovable as mountains were now as fragile as glass. The central control hub was flooded with reports. Imperial fleet systems down 45 from AI security systems have failed. Planetary defense grid compromised. Every report ended with the same terrifying words: human interference. This can't be happening, Emperor Zav muttered, his voice trembling. We control the galaxy. We control everything. How are we being undone by MEMS? It wasn't just the MEMS, though. It was the human spirit, unpredictable, unyielding, and fueled by the strangest forms of technology. What had started with Buck's crude home video, a grainy 1990s clip of a man drinking beer and making sarcastic comments, had spiraled into a digital insurrection that was now out of the Empire's reach. In a high-security room deep within the Imperial palace, Varon, the Empire's high commander, paced frantically. He watched as more Imperial satellites were taken offline by what was called a Rickroll virus. The fleet's weapon systems were locked in endless loops of "Never Gonna Give You Up," the popular Earth song, its lyrics taunting the Empire with each note. How can they do this? Varon asked, his voice laced with disbelief. This is impossible. Across the galaxy, the digital virus had spread like wildfire. On the planet Valara Prime, Imperial communications were flooded with ancient Earth videos, dancing hamsters, grumpy cats, and, most damaging of all, the now infamous I Like Turtles video. The Imperial fleet's most advanced warships, each one built with the latest AI systems and firepower, had been brought to a halt by something as ridiculous as a video of a child in a zombie costume, saying "I like turtles." The countdown continued, 23 hours 0 minutes and 0 seconds, but the momentum had shifted. The Empire was no longer in control. Humanity had thrown everything the Empire had at it: humor, creativity, chaos, and the absolute refusal to give up. And in doing so, they had broken the Empire not through force, but through the very unpredictability the Empire had never accounted for. It was a brilliant, beautifully simple rebellion. The Empire's advanced technology, its starships, its AI, its vast weaponry, was now powerless against an enemy that didn't play by the rules. And as the countdown neared its final seconds, it was clear. Humanity had won. The Empire was done. 22 hours 35 minutes and 0 seconds, every passing minute felt like a countdown to oblivion for the Galactic Empire. The vast networks that had once stretched across millions of star systems were now as useful as broken toys. What had started with a handful of human rebels had exploded into a full-scale digital revolution. Imperial leaders, once certain of their superiority, now found themselves facing an enemy they couldn't outsmart, outgun, or outthink. In the Imperial war room, Emperor Zavlaorin sat hunched over his desk, his face etched with disbelief. His advisors, once the architects of the Empire's power, stood in silence, their faces pale as they watched their systems implode. The central communications hub blinked erratically as more reports flooded in. Fleet 30 disabled. Systems failure on 73 of Imperial ships. Planetary defense grids offline. All Imperial AI now referencing Cap MEMS. How is this happening? Zav spat, his voice cracking with desperation. We are the greatest empire in history. How are we losing to this? On his monitor, a list of failed systems scrolled endlessly. The Empire's greatest fleet, once capable of destroying entire planets with a single command, was now nothing more than a chaotic collection of malfunctioning warships. Their AI-based weapon systems had been rendered useless by a combination of corrupted software and the sheer unpredictability of human interference. In one system, An Imperial starship had been forced into an endless loop of Gangnam Style while another blasted the Macarena across the galaxy. The laughter of the crew could be heard as their once mighty warships were brought to a halt. As the countdown hit 22 hours 0 minutes and 0 seconds, an unexpected message appeared on Zav's private terminal. It was from Buck, the man who had sparked this entire rebellion. "Hey, Zav." Buck's video message began, a smile on his face and a beer in his hand. "I reckon you're having a bad day, but this is what happens when you mess with family." The feed cut to black for a moment, then flashed the final words in bold white text. "You're not winning this. You're just being humanized." Across the galaxy, the results were the same. The Empire's once unstoppable command centers were now crawling with glitchy Earth memes and decades-old video clips. Ships on the outer rim were malfunctioning at a rate of 50 photon per hour. A full-scale meltdown had begun. An entire empire undone by the very force it had scorned. Humanity's chaotic spirit, bolstered by ancient tech and a complete disregard for the rules. The countdown reached 21 hours 55 minutes and 0 seconds. There was no more time for the Empire. Humanity had won. The final stand wasn't a battle of guns or bombs. It was a battle of unpredictability. And humanity had outlasted the Empire with nothing more than creativity, humor, and old-school technology. The last battle was over. The last hope of the Empire was extinguished, not by a superior force, but by something even more terrifying: human ingenuity. The Empire was finished. The final seconds of the countdown flickered on every screen, 21 hours 0 minutes and 0 seconds. The galaxy, once dominated by the cold precision of Imperial control, was now on the brink of something else entirely. The absolute collapse of the Empire wasn't a flash of destruction. It was the slow unraveling of a system that had thought itself invincible, taken down by the very thing it had never prepared for: humanity's unpredictable spirit. As the countdown hit 20 hours 55 minutes and 0 seconds, the last of the Imperial command ships, the Glory of Order, fell silent. Its crew, elite tacticians and AI operatives once trained to maintain the iron grip of the Empire, were now huddled in confusion. The ship's once pristine interface had gone dark. The weapon systems, once capable of sterilizing entire planets, were now responding only to pop culture references. A giant neon sign on the command deck blinked in bright red. "Congratulations. You've been rickrolled." Back on Earth, Buck and Kayla, the unexpected heroes, watched the Empire crumble. The power that had once threatened to wipe them from existence had evaporated into nothing more than memes and malfunctioning tech. Buck cracked open another beer, and Kayla slung her slingshot over her shoulder, her eyes scanning the sky. "Didn't think it'd be this easy," Buck said, his voice filled with an amused disbelief. Kayla smirked. "They never thought we could use their own tech against them." As the Glory of Order lost all communication and power, the last message from the Empire flashed across every screen in the galaxy. "The Empire has fallen. Long live the rebellion." The lights of the galaxy, once powered by the fear and order of the Empire, now shone with the chaotic beauty of human resilience. Earth's rebellion had not been just a fight for survival. It had been a fight for freedom, for creativity, and for the absurdity of existence itself. And as the last of the Imperial starships floated aimlessly in space, a new message appeared across every channel. "Welcome to Earth, folks. We do things differently here." 20 hours 0 minutes and 0 seconds. The countdown ended. The Empire was no more. Humanity had won.